Hi, I'm David with EV World News. We're talking about electric vehicles, green energy, and the stock markets. I'm back today on a Tuesday with our founder and editor, Bill Moore. How's it going today, Bill?
I'm back. I'm live, and I'm not AI.
There you go. There
Yet.
you go. Yeah, not yet. Maybe someday. Maybe someday. Yeah, we're still here, and we keep bitching about the rainy season we've been having here in Nebraska. But our assistant, that's usually in the background, is running on candle power because he's having flooding where he lives over in Asia.
Yeah, most people don't know that Dave and I are here in the same little Nebraska community just outside of Omaha, and we're just a few miles apart. But the gentleman who is sort of the back end engineer for the podcast is located 12 and a half hours away in India.
Yeah, and he's been sending me pictures. He's got flooded streets and
oh God. Hey Yogi, we're thinking of you, buddy.
Yeah, I could probably run this on the screen here. Let me see what I want to how I can do this.
See, we don't have him doing this for us as an engineer, so
I know. Well, I hit the wrong button.
Oh no.
Share screen. Let me see if I can make it run again. There we go.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah.
It's a good bit of water. Yeah, they got no power. They got no power. Anyways, so yeah, so that's what's going on there. Anyways, let's start out with Tesla. Tesla Roadster, flying car unveiling is imminent. Yeah, we're kind of curious. At first, when I saw Tesla was going to do a flying car, I thought we were going to do another, single person drone quadcopter,
right.
thing like what we've been seeing more and more of, to go for around $300,000 now.
Yeah.
And well, I say we see them. We see news about them. We don't actually see them. I mean, I suppose if we
don't.
Aviation show, we might.
Yeah, we don't have anybody that I'm aware of at this point who actually has one of those here in Omaha. But we do see the Amazon drones. I was sitting out on my porch yesterday with my brother and sister-in-law. They're up from Houston, and we're sitting there, and I said, yeah, it'd be kind of cool if we'd see an Amazon drone go by. Sure enough, half an hour later, so they got to see their first Amazon delivery drone as well.
Nice. All right, so Tesla is set to unveil a redesigned Roadster as early as this month, so August 2026, with SpaceX cold gas thrusters, enabling the vehicle to float for short periods. I don't know how this is going to go. Do you enable this when you're going 120 down the highway? I mean, when do you turn this on? Is this
why? What?
I mean, they have the valet feature, right, in the Tesla.
That come around sense. To you. Yeah.
Maybe you use that to just hop over the parking lot. And
I don't know. That car weigh probably, I don't know, 3,000-4,000 pounds.
Yeah. Anyways, Bill and I were we were talking about this before the show. It's like, where do we charge that, or where do we refuel the cold gas thrusters? I'm
wondering what even a cold gas thruster is. Obviously, with the SpaceX and the Starship, those are, as I understand it, they're methane and liquid oxygen, which of course is really, really cold, and that's how it builds up the frost on the outside of it. I don't know what a cold gas. So maybe if you know what a cold gas thruster is, what's that comprised of? Is it liquefied hydrogen, or not hydrogen, but helium? I don't know. It'd be interesting to know. But what filling station do you go to?
Yeah,
or are they going to put this at all the service centers, right? Or maybe the Tesla Road Ranger comes out and recharges your canister.
I'm thinking maybe they put them where they have the Tesla supercharging stations. But I mean, it's such a random thing. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. I think it's more just hype than anything else. okay, maybe one they'll have a prototype that gets
They're
off
going.
the ground and
Well,
sits there and does this and then settles back down. I don't know.
yeah, they're planning on abandoning their 2017 design, and they're switching to something that looks more like a Lamborghini Countach. Now that's a vehicle that has been made for a few years, so that's um, an older design, but still. Um, Musk's commitment is to make the craziest vehicle on the road with actual SpaceX rocket technology integration. He's clearly integrating everything. I mean, he's got Grok integrated with the Teslas. Now he's going to have SpaceX crap integrated.
Starlink, they're starting to do tests in Austin of the cyber cab with the Starlink antenna embedded into the there's no window in the rear window in the cyber cab, so
Okay.
they've got that space for that little square for the space, the Starlink, for the Starlink antenna. So yeah, why not? I mean, okay, it would seem to me it would make sense maybe on Mars or definitely on the moon with 1/6 gravity, but where are you going to use it? I don't know. I think it's more just a marketing hype. He'll put a prototype with some thrusters he borrowed out of SpaceX and generate all kinds of publicity and get us to talking about it. But I can't show me a practical application of that, and then I'll get excited.
Yeah, I mean, here's what the old. I think this was the original Roadster, what they were talking about doing, which is still, I mean, Tesla did a pretty good job of making their cars. The S and the X have both been very nice looking. This is a nice design here.
Yep.
I think it's going to look a little bit more Lamborghini-ish in the final design, but still.
Well, we're supposed to see that. Aren't they supposed to bring that out in the next few weeks here?
No, it's this month. I mean, we're talking like the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see where that goes. All right. So Rivian raises 2026 delivery outlook on strong second quarter demand. Rivian increased its 26 guidance delivery up from 62,000 to 65,000 vehicles, possibly even 70,000 vehicles after delivering about 12,194 units in quarter two, which was they originally were hoping for 11,000. They delivered essentially 1,100 extra. So they did 10% more.
Yeah.
The stock rose 6% in the news, driven by strong demand for the R2 midsize SUV, now ramping up production. Lucid missed expectations with only 3,953 deliveries and announced a major leadership shakeup under the new CEO Silvio Napoli. Well, we'll see. It's funny how everybody wants to compare Lucid and Rivian, and it's like I don't even think they probably really worry about each other, right?
No.
I mean, if I were either of those companies, I wouldn't worry about the other company. But it's funny how a lot of things are always trying to compare the two.
And
right?
and with the OEMs like Ford and GM and Chrysler, yeah, Stellantis, kind of pulling back and canceling programs. I mean, the potential market just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Incidentally, I just posted something this morning where Lucid has now rolled out a new model. I've been all over the place this morning, but anyway, that'd be interesting to see how that performs. But yeah, it's great to see that happening with Rivian.
All right, so here is a picture of the Heart Aerospace X1 lifting off from Plattsburgh, New York. Now, this is an all-electric aircraft.
Yep.
It's the world's largest electric aircraft, I guess by wingspan size, maybe?
Well, probably by weight, I would imagine. Obviously wingspan, but no, technically, if you wanted to say that, it would probably still be the, solar.
Is it one that flies out of Stennis down in Mississippi?
Well, no, this was, originally, I mean, I'm talking about the one that did the around the world. Come on, William. Anyway, where it went around the solar airplane.
The solar powered one.
Yeah, the solar powered one. I think probably had bigger wingspan, but this definitely is.
That was also unmanned, right?
Oh it was manned. It had pilots, and there were two volunteer pilots
Okay.
that took, because when that thing, for example, flew the Pacific, you had to fly in that thing. Each pilot spent about 3 days, because you had to
Wow.
fly from Japan to Hawaii, and that took something like 3 or 4 days. I mean, it was, in the cockpit of an airplane.
Yeah.
So it took two guys. But this is really exciting. This resembles sort of a typical
Commuter.
early era turboprop, like a Dornier or a de Havilland. Um, this is making serious progress now. It only flies for a few relatively limited amount of time because of the battery technology, but it's pretty exciting to see this.
It doesn't give any information on the range, but it 106-foot wingspan, 25,000-pound takeoff weight. This flight lasted 27 minutes, reached 1,100 feet, and used $5 of electricity.
$5 of fuel. Yep.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty incredible.
So I would expect incidentally, my brother that's up here had a 44-year career with the airlines. So that's kind of his bailiwick, and he told me he's spending about 5 hours a day doing the research for a book that he's writing on the sort of the history of the small market carriers, right? The ones that'll fly, from let's say Chicago Midway, down to Louisville, Kentucky, or something like that. These short haul type things. So this is pretty interesting to that's probably the niche that something like this will initially fill. Will be those short haul. And you imagine the joy of a airline CFO or COO, whatever, where his fuel bill isn't thousands of dollars for one flight,
Right.
but maybe hundreds of dollars for one flight.
Think of how inexpensively that could haul people around.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's the whole point.
Yeah. That'll certainly be a big deal in commuter aviation.
Yeah. You notice I had sort of, if you look up here, this is one of the companies my brother worked for. This is the other company we both worked for at one point in time. So,
okay. All right. So let's move on and let's talk about the BYD Seal, the Seal 08.
Yeah.
All right. BYD's new flagship Seal 08 sedan secured 65,000 orders within 30 hours of going on sale. 65,000. I mean, you look at only Tesla in the United States could achieve a number like that.
Yeah, let's talk about what they cost.
I haven't gotten to that part yet.
Okay.
But it has 800-volt fast charging architecture. Mm-hmm. That's the stuff that can take a megawatt charger. Okay.
And charge your car in 5 minutes.
Yeah, it could put 40 to 50 miles of range in your car. Well, you say 5 minutes, but this one has a 562-mile battery. So it might take longer than 5 minutes to charge this one. It might take 10. But you can certainly put 200 to 250 miles of range on the thing in 5 minutes.
You can go into the Buc-ee's, order a latte and a hot dog on a roller kind of a thing, and by the time you ate the hot dog and finished the giant Slurpee, your car's all charged up too.
While I've never seen a purple Honda Accord, that looks like a purple Honda Accord. But that's what the car looks like.
Well, yeah. Why am I not surprised?
Yeah. Well, at least it doesn't look like a Porsche, right?
Well, yeah. That somebody else cornered that market, Xiaomi.
Yeah. Let's see. Pricing. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, 22,000 pounds. So what's a pound? About $1.25?
About $1.25. Yeah.
Yeah. So you'd add that's about 27,500 US for 562-mile range.
And a car that I understand is not only equivalent, but in some respects superior to the competing Tesla model, which I think is the Y. So,
Well, this one's actually a sedan. It's an all-wheel drive model.
well, maybe it was the Y. I don't recall now.
Has 695 horsepower, doing 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds.
Yeah.
$27,500, folks.
Can you show off at the light? That's about what you do with it, or maybe you get into drag racing at the local airport or something.
Oh, it can take up to 1.5 megawatts of charging speed. Yeah. It dwarfs Tesla's supercharger network. It's being rolled out across the UK in the next 12 months. Man, that's a low price for the United Kingdom. 27,500 or 22,000 pounds.
Yeah, and I think the Chinese equivalent is something like $16,000, something like that. If you bought it there,
it's not a flashy looking car. It just looks like a car, right?
Yep.
We talk about this a lot too. And we're going to talk about another car that sometimes I really feel the car making companies, when they were told they had to make electric vehicles, they wanted to make them look silly, and these don't look silly.
No. Just looks like what you'd expect to see on the highway, and you probably have to look close. I mean, we're getting to the point now where we're starting to see more of them around here, and the only way you can tell is if I'm behind one, there's a tailpipe. But even in some cases, they've camouflaged the rear of these cars so much that it's hard to tell if there's a tailpipe there or not.
So
one of the Kias or whatever.
It's larger than a Tesla Model S, just slightly larger.
Okay.
It's a full-size luxury territory with the Mercedes EQS, the BMW i7, and the Lucid Air.
For what, a third?
$27,500
for a third.
This is why Trump doesn't want Chinese EVs in the United States, because American car companies, even Tesla, won't be able to compete with this.
No.
Let's see. It has a navigation on autopilot, automatic remote parking. It obviously has a lot of optional features. I suspect you probably, for that price, get cloth seats, but still, that's just crazy. Almost 700 horsepower automobile with 560 miles of range. They were saying, well, maybe if the cars get 500 miles of range, then
I don't know what's the distance between what's the famous drive from Land's End to John O'Groat, right down in Devon, all the way up to the very tip of Scotland. It's probably that distance. You probably make that in one trip.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody from Britain. If you recall what the distance is from Land's End to John O'Groat, share it with us. I know it's a fairly long distance.
All right. So Toyota is announcing a third generation hydrogen fuel cell launching this year. New fuel cell offers twice the durability and 20% better fuel and efficiency range versus second generation hydrogen fuel cell.
Try again.
Yeah. Target markets in Japan, China, Europe, and North America starting in 26 for both passenger and heavy-duty commercial vehicles. Faces uncertain political landscape with reduced federal subsidies, but benefits from bipartisan support for regional hydrogen hubs.
Yeah.
I'm probably one of the most anti-hydrogen people around. I tell people all the time, it's like, okay, pitch me your hydrogen idea and I'll tell you why you're stupid. And
we were talking about this off camera, by the way.
Yeah. Because the economics of hydrogen generally suck. And it's for one reason, it's transporting the damn thing. It just doesn't move around well. Well, it needs to be pressurized. It needs to be cooled. There's all these things that have to happen, and you just lose a lot of it.
And then that still leaks. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, I was telling Bill, I've seen a technology that I can't really get into too much that alleviates those things. And maybe they could bring, if they get it to market, um, it could help to commercialize hydrogen.
Yeah, it
But it
it
would
has an
still,
app. Go ahead.
well, it would still require, because I was telling you, something mixed with the hydrogen,
Right,
the
right.
suspension, and it would
Yeah,
have then, as the byproduct, it would go into a separate tank when the system burns the hydrogen. So what it's doing is apparently it's going to remove the extra, then let the hydrogen go into the combustion system. So these extra ingredients weren't going to go into the combustion system. They were going to separate out before that and go into a separate tank, and then you'd
then
have
you
that
just
tank.
then you recycle the tank. Yeah,
Yeah, and then when you
yeah,
go to fuel up with more of this blended hydrogen, um, you would put an additional hose in the other tank, suck that
yeah,
out,
yeah.
and put the other in.
Yeah, that's yeah. As I was explaining, to us off camera, that's a technology has been around for a while, at least 10 years, this 15 years actually. So,
So people have tried it before.
oh, people have tried it before. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a matter of, can they make it work? Can it be commercialized? These people are
Well,
trying to show me
I mean,
ideas of using it for cars, and I'm like, cars aren't the application. Then they were also talking
no,
about long road trucks.
no.
It's like, no, it's aviation. Aviation is the application.
Except that you're carrying all that extra. I mean, the beauty of burning a fossil fuel Jet A, right, is
Mhm.
that even though you're taking off with all of that thousands and thousands of pounds of weight, the longer you fly, the lighter you get because you're burning that away and you're throwing it out into the atmosphere behind you. Whereas this system, again, in an aviation context, its problem is that yes, you're pulling out the lightest of all atoms, right?
Mhm.
So you're separating that, but you're leaving behind this residue material that you then still have to carry with you. So you're not really getting that advantage that you would have like something like Jet A or even what's called sustainable aviation fuel.
Mhm.
Um, that as you consume it, your weight goes down. Whereas in this case, it may go down, but it's marginal. So yeah, it could possibly. I mean, if you're going to do it in a we talked about before about the barge traffic on the Seine River, and they were doing experiments with hydrogen and fuel cells, moving these barges up and down the Seine. That would make sense because you've got the water providing you with the buoyancy. You don't have to worry so much about that extra weight that you're using, and it would be a lot easier to recycle it because what they were doing looks like they were using like shipping container type units, and they could take those off and pull those off and put a new one in, and then you recycle the material, whatever that material is, in that container, and the process gets repeated. So I think in a Marines application, it would make sense. Trucking, okay, possibly, but not in a personal car. Certainly, I'm sorry, not in aviation. Not going to
So
work.
you don't think that would work out that well? So to me, the idea of using the hydrogen in aviation would be to boost something like that X1 we were just looking at to give it longer range.
Well, yeah, and that's already being done actually, and they're just using the straight compressed hydrogen. There have already flights being made in that, in fact, if you look at that the aircraft, the Hart X1, you'll notice that large sort of an extension belly underneath the
I
thing,
saw
and
that.
and that can be used for batteries or could be used, for the hydrogen tank. So yeah, there are people are working
I
on
guess
this.
once again, it goes back to traditional hydrogen as a fuel is too expensive.
Exactly. And
Okay.
how do you use that? Rolls-Royce has been doing where you use that as a gas, right,
Mhm.
to run through a sort of conventional turbine engine. Or you could have somewhere like you've got an APU and an airliner in the back of the tail. You could be using that hydrogen to run through a fuel cell to generate the electricity to charge the batteries, and it's, again, a series hybrid situation. That's been looked at as well. So I think we would get there, and certainly hydrogen could make sense, but then you've got the weight of the tanks and, again, the cost of the fuel.
Well, these guys felt that they could deliver hydrogen at half the cost of diesel, and so that'd be about a third the price of avgas. Okay, so I'm just saying maybe it could work. I don't know.
No.
I still I have my doubts. I just would have felt that if this was a thing, it would have been brought to market sooner, because obviously the challenge is, we've talked about this. The challenge is the economics of transport.
Well, not only that, but it's the economics of infrastructure, right? Because it's not just a matter of taking and replacing a gasoline pump with a diesel pump, right? Or an ethanol pump or whatever. It's a matter of completely designing the two systems to put the hydrogen charged fuel into the vehicle, but at the same time pulling the excess material, whatever that might happen to be, as a powder or as a liquid or whatever it is, and it comes out, and then you got to collect that. Then you got to collect that and do something with that, and either do it on site or you take it to a processing center. You're right. It's the logistics of getting that, getting all those pieces in place. And
I don't get terribly excited about what these guys showed me, because one of my things is, with a small nuclear reactor that is a high temperature gas reactor, so all nuclear is based on thermal energy. Okay, so you're making the uranium super hot. Okay,
right.
And you have different ways. You either boil water or you different things to create,
transfer it into molten salts.
You transfer that and convert it to electricity. But even though you convert it to electricity, you have a massive amount of wasted thermal energy.
Yep.
So one of the uses that's proposed on a small modular reactor. So let's say I was powering the Denver airport. Okay, so I was providing a reactor that provided all the electricity for the Denver airport. They didn't have to take that from the municipal grid or whatever. I'd have this extra thermal energy there. Now I could use that extra thermal energy to make hydrogen at the airport. Okay, that hydrogen could then be used economically in aircraft at the airport, because it's basically being made with free energy.
Or as an interim step, use it in all the GSE equipment, the ground service equipment.
True.
All the little tugs and things that are running around, the fire trucks, the ground service vehicles there. That's an area that, in fact, there's already some electrification been going on in that area for, again, a couple decades now.
Yeah. But what I'm getting at is, there you're not having to worry about the infrastructure of hauling it across the planet.
Right.
And getting it to the site from a manufacturing place. It's being made right there where it's going to get used. It gets put right into the aircraft that might be using hydrogen. I can see that being a useful strategy, right?
Yeah,
if you really want hydrogen aircraft.
Or rental car shuttle buses.
Right. But this is a challenge. If you can make if you can make the hydrogen economically and use it right where it's made, so you're not transporting it 100 miles.
Right. This was the original idea of Honda when they first started getting into doing hydrogen development, is that you would take natural gas that comes into your house, and you'd have a device in the house that would then take and do steam reformation to create the hydrogen in your garage to take and then fuel your Honda hydrogen sedan. Same thing.
Yeah, well, not a whole lot different. But I'm just saying, so that's the only thing, even these guys, they've got this great idea. There may be challenges with that. There may still be a better way. And I told them, it's like, when it comes to cars, EVs are already a proven effective solution, right?
Yep.
And
The
even with the truck.
infrastructure is there. The infrastructure is getting much better as we move forward.
My bet is that you could do battery swapping with large trucks before you'd ever be able to have a hydrogen infrastructure in place.
Oh yeah, that would be yeah.
Because they're already doing
How
it in
many are
China,
they? What
right?
do they got? 10,000 or some crazy number of those swap stations now in China
Yeah, for cars,
for
but they
car.
have
Well,
some for
for
trucks as well
yeah,
now too.
yeah,
Yeah, and I'm just saying, I see that as invariably being the technology that wins over here. It makes a whole lot more sense than having megawatt chargers to charge trucks. Although Tesla is already starting to put those in at different places for infrastructure. The only way I see that working out is you have massive batteries at those locations that are actually what are pumping out the electrons, and the batteries are charging at a more balanced rate from energy somewhere, right?
right.
So whatever that might be. All right, let's talk about the BMW i3. So according to Car Magazine, the 2026 car of the year, not the EV of the year, car overall, is the
Mm-hmm.
2027 BMW i3.
I3. Yep.
Yeah, and this is this is now, it's still, it's nice looking. It's
Yeah,
BMW.
it's a
Okay,
BMW.
BMWs always have a nice look to them.
It doesn't fly, but
Yeah, it doesn't fly, but it does have pretty good stats. 463 horsepower, still not comparable to that BYD.
yeah.
440 miles of EPA range. Now, US EPA range is less than the range they give cars in other countries.
In Europe because their driving cycle is different, so they take that into account. And so, yeah,
But it does have,
we drive faster generally over here, which and further distances. So our cycle is different from the one they use in China or the one that they use in Europe.
yeah, so it's got the same 800 volt, 400 kilowatt charging with bidirectional capabilities. It's got bidirectional built in.
That's great.
And anyway, so it could take that megawatt charger. So it can charge just as fast as that BYD. It has something called Heart of Joy integrated controls and advanced architecture, signal BMW's serious EV push beyond the iX and the i4. This is a big jump from the old i3, right? Which, Bill, I've said all the years you've known me, I really feel that initial EVs, there was an attempt to make EV drivers look like idiots driving around in some weird looking car.
You're speaking of the original i3, right?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like the i3 doesn't look. The original i3 does not look like a BMW. It looks more
It's
like
got
a
the
smart
kidneys.
pursuit.
It's got the kidneys in the front.
Yeah, but it looks more like,
No, it was designed to be look different. You are right.
yeah,
And
and
in fact, I saw one yesterday. I thought I still like that car.
yeah. Well, like I said, I know people that have them, and
And
that
drive them all over the country, right?
right. Yeah, it finally fell apart.
Oh, did it? Oh,
Yeah, he needs to do some more maintenance on it. It won't charge, and it's turned into a big problem. So he's driving something else right now.
okay.
But anyways, but he's been looking for another one. That's been kind of funny because he does like it. But yeah. Well, Bill, that's all I've got time for today.
Hey, that's fine. We've had fun, and I hope the listeners have enjoyed our banter back and forth. Hopefully it was informative. But keep an eye out. If my brother ever gets around to publishing his book, I'm going to hype it right here.
There you go. There won't be a Friday show for the next couple of weeks.
Mike is out of town again, huh?
No, it's me. I'm traveling. I've got a lot of travel the next 10 days. I've got to go to do planning and zoning meetings and down in the South, and
yeah,
then
okay.
I've got a tennis event in New York City next week, and then I've got a tennis event in Springfield, Missouri next week.
See this. See here. This is the caliber of the people that we have working at EV World. Well,
Yeah.
volunteering their time at EV World.
There you go. All right, Bill.
Well,
All
have
right.
a good time, travel safely, and so we won't do a show next week then.
There
All
won't be a
right.
show at all next week. All right.
All right,
Here we
good.
go.
All right,
Thanks, folks.
people. Take care.